Welcome back to the Engage 8 podcast. I'm Josh. I'm here with my co-hosts Mike and Zach. And I just want to say this is our 10th episode, and 75% of podcasts don't make it to the 10th episode. So shout out us, I guess.
Uh,
And then moving on, Zach is going to start us off with the Bears actually today. I
10th
think
episode and about the fifth episode that starts with how bad the Bears are.
that's true. It is very true. So we're going to delay Thursday Night Football for just a second. We'll do the Bears first, and then we'll just go Thursday to Sunday night. Zach, take us away.
All right. I wrote this down, trying to just channel all my anger and frustration. My fellow Americans, football fans, and Bear supporters everywhere. This team is no longer what it used to be back in 1985, 2006, 2010, or even 2018. This team reeks of failure, but I will not back down for being a fan of this franchise. My love and loyalty for the Navy and Orange will burn forever bright. However, something has to change. Flus is not a good head coach. Getsy is not a good play caller. And George McCaskey is not a good owner. Justin Fields, once a promising prospect out of Ohio State, has been ruined by the Chicago Bears. He's a shell of his former self, and I am ashamed to say that it's officially time to move on. Josh, before you even ask, I'm at a 0 on Justin Fields being the guy. At least he won't be for the Bears. Whether he can be for another team, that remains to be seen. The team should turn their focus onto the 2024 offseason, as this team is downright atrocious and has 0-17 potential. With 2 first-round picks in hand, they should be able to continue this rebuild the right way, build through the trenches and then outward. Hopefully someday they will make me and the rest of Chicago Bears Nation proud. Thank you for your time, and as always, bear down.
All right, well, that was something. I'm guessing that's the end of your immediate thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so
No mention of King Poles.
We can get them later.
I mean, Bears fans can never just give the accountability to everybody.
Yeah.
There's someone that gets an excuse, but
We can get them later.
Fields under 100 passing yards, back to his old classic self. You love to see that. The Bears were just simply outmatched in every facet of the game. If you give Mahomes time and you have no secondary, it's going to get ugly. Taylor Swift was at the game. She got to see her Kelsey touchdown. That must have been minus 500 when they saw that she was there. But yeah, I live for the moments where I can talk about how bad the Bears are and just do my victory lap for being right about everything. But I'm actually starting to get tired of just like I'm just so right about it that I'm tired of even talking about them at this point.
All right, well, let's start with the 3 good notes that I had from the game. Roschon Johnson, Darnell Wright, and there was one more. Oh, well, I don't remember it.
King Poles.
But no, not even. But then the bad, everything else. I think Taylor Swift had more highlights than the Chicago Bears had. Oh, the third one was DJ Moore got his first touchdown. So that was fun. But it was a terrible game by the Bears. I mean, that's what you expect after the ass backwards week that they had with everything going on within the whole Alan Williams situation, whether or not all the rumors are true. I'm not going to comment on that because it's not my place, and him and his family, regardless of everything, they deserve privacy. So, yeah, Chiefs killed us. That's it.
Yeah. Zach, just real quick, you mentioned the start of a new rebuild next year. You didn't mention if King Poles is leading that rebuild or not. I just want your comment on that.
I think of all the people that deserve like a quote unquote second chance, I think it's Poles. He's only had 1 first-round pick to really do anything in the last 2 years, and the reason he only had 1 was because of Ryan Pace. He didn't have one in the 2022 season. What just happened?
Devontae just got rocked, but
Did he really? That's tough. But
yeah, continue.
Poles, he's only got 1 first-round pick throughout his entire tenure, and it's Darnell Wright. And through 3 games, I think he's looked fantastic. And obviously, second-round picks, they're not as like I don't know what you guys are laughing about.
I just saw the hit. Yeah.
I love the game pulled up, so I'm kind of just distracted. But he's been great. Second round picks, they're a little bit more hit or miss, and then later round picks is kind of where you just take a lot of swings at those positions where you need a lot of guys. But we're still waiting to see on all of those spots. But Poles, I think we give him 1 more year. with a lot of cap space and see how he really does and give him his chance to him and Kevin Warren, the new president, give them a chance to pick out the new head coach, pick out a quarterback, and see how it goes.
Yeah. Eberflus is obviously 3-17 now, so it's not a good go for him. I don't think he's been given a good roster to work with, especially with the way he wants to coach defensively. I mean, no one to get pressure. I thought during the game, and it was if Taylor Swift went out there and called the plays for the Chiefs on defense, could the Bears still score? And I don't know if they could.
I don't know. Barely got a couple off at the end with all this backups in.
Yeah, and then Mahomes could have won the game with one hand tied behind his back, and it's
100%.
It's that simple.
There were some actually embarrassing how long he was in the pocket plays. Like there were somewhere it's like, is the Bears D line just tired, or are they just gonna let him have this one? There was some really crazy plays. I don't want to say for sure that the Bears are the worst team in the league, but there's a discussion as to whether or not they're the worst team in the league. And that includes the Cardinals. That includes, I don't even know who were I want to say Texans, but I mean, they played great today. But yeah, that includes some of the worst teams in the league that were 100% locks to get the top picks. Now the Bears are in that conversation. They need to get Jared Verse with one of their top picks. Absolutely. But just to move off the Bears, because all jokes aside, I mean, I'm going to keep doing the victory lap, but I just am really starting to get what else is there to say? I feel like we've spent so much time on this.
So why are you still going?
That's what I'm. There's really nothing left to say. That's why I'm saying I want to move on to the Chiefs. The Chiefs, I think this was the game they needed. They were a little shaky on offense the first 2 weeks, to say the least, against the Lions defense, who is up and down, and then the Jags defense, who isn't good. So they got to play an absolute horrible defense today. And I think that was huge for him, and they looked great. Mahomes hopefully is healthy. I know he was a little shaken up. He got to take the second half of the game to himself, but yeah, good for the Chiefs. They really needed this, and their defense is still just playing great.
Yeah, I said it last week, right after the Chiefs-Jags and before the Bears-Chiefs. This was Mahomes and Kelsey, another getting back into rhythm. Chris Jones kind of getting back into game shape, all that. And they showed it. The Chiefs defense, I think they have potential to be top 5, like they were talking about on the broadcast. They also have the youngest defense in the league, which I was absolutely shocked by, but you wouldn't think it by how well they're playing. So they're the defending champs for a reason, and they still look really good despite having a loss, and some teams don't.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to bring up, Zach. They have the youngest defense in the NFL, which is just crazy. Nick Bolton looks great. Again, Chris Jones is Chris Jones. That defense is just so good. It's going to be hard for a team to beat them in the playoffs. I don't know.
McDuffie, too. McDuffie's been phenomenal.
McDuffie.
I mean, I said it last week, but just the thought of Mahomes having a top 5 defense, even a top 10 defense, but a top 5 defense is scary. Even at 2-1, they're Super Bowl favorites, in my opinion. Them and the Niners, and I guess maybe the Eagles, even though the Eagles' offenses looked a little shaky, outside of being able to straight run the ball over the Vikings, but everyone could do that. But yeah, that's about it for me from this game. I'm sure you have some thoughts.
Kind of to go back on the Bears and the whole draft position thing. Yeah, completely agree. They are definitely in position for number 1, but they also have that Panthers pick, and they're also sitting at 0-3. And then they play the Vikings coming up, who are also sitting at 0-3. And the Texans and Cardinals both won today. So that's huge for the Bears. I don't even want to say us anymore, but it's
you gotta ride. You gotta keep riding.
I know that it's us. It'll always be us. It just hurts sometimes. It really does.
I mean, as a Lions fan, I know what
you've had your fair share for sure.
I know what the dark times feel like, but you gotta, at this point, the season is. I don't want to say the season's over, but the season is over. The Bears are not making the playoffs. They're not doing any damage in the regular season. At this point,
Fields' quote? He said, "There's still 14 games left at least." I mean, the Lions started 1-6 last year.
Is that what he said?
He said the Lions started 1-6 last year, and we just need one win to get us going.
Don't get me breaking down last year's Lions team to this year's Bears team, though.
I tweeted about it. I said, like, look, I mean, I get where he's coming from, and it makes sense, but the Lions also put up points. Like, they lost 38-35 in week 1 to the Eagles, who ended up winning the NFC, and then they kept putting up points, and their only issue was the defense. It wasn't play calling.
Yeah, you just have to take out the one outlier game against the Pats where we got shut out like 33-0. But outside of that game, but most of the games they were showing.
But y'all figured it out. You were able to adjust and adapt. And this team
that's good coaching.
Prove, right. And
calling.
This team has yet to prove that they can do that.
Yeah. And the Lions at least had half of the trenches were right. The Bears, it's gonna be a tough.
I don't know. I mean, Tevin Jenkins, he's on IR, and Braxton Jones, he just got thrown on IR, but I'm very confident in Darnell Wright. And
let's not lie to ourselves though. Tevin Jenkins isn't like this star that we're waiting to come off the IR. Like he's at best.
I don't think he's gonna make.
Guard.
I don't think he's gonna be making like a 6-win difference, obviously, but he's definitely. He played like a top 5 guard in the league last year, switching from tackle to guard. If you watch him, not even biased, I swear to God, he was actually really good. In
What's
pass
the injury?
pro and
is it hamstring or knee?
I think it might have been hamstring, yeah, but like last year, he looked good. He looked really good, which is why it was such a rough loss for us at the beginning of the year.
I like to see Fields at least getting some runs off today. Got a call. He had what, 2 or 3?
I think he still only had 1 designed run, maybe 2.
I'm just talking about pure rushes. Yeah, I think he had maybe 1 or 2 designed runs. He had that one. He had a couple plays today where he looked good. He had the one early scramble that he got like 15 yards out of. Yeah.
It was like the first play he was backed up on the goal line, rolled right and hit Claypool on the comeback.
I wasn't watching that closely, but yeah,
it was on the first.
I know it was early, and then he had, I think it was the second drive where he had that one where he rolled out left, and then he hit like the sidearm to Komet. I think it was. That was I don't know if it was Komet.
That might have been. It was to Komet, but I think it was in the second quarter because they flipped the side.
It was at some point, yeah. But that was a good play. I mean that was a Mahomes-esque looking play. But outside of that,
don't say that.
I mean, at this point I can afford to give you a little bit of hope.
No.
At this point, you just got to build your hopes back up.
Inside. It is over.
Yeah, no, that was tough. I want to move on to Thursday Night Football, but really quickly, we can't move on without talking about the DJ Moore drop. One of Fields' best throws of the day.
That was tough.
And then the godsend that was the offseason of DJ Moore.
But you know what? He made up for it in the fourth quarter with that gorgeous one-handed, left-handed grab.
That's fair.
Yeah, should have caught it. Should have caught the first one, but I mean,
you do you do hate to see that drop though, because I know you guys would have been talking about that still, even with the 41-0. You guys would, or I guess you would have had a touchdown probably, but whatever. All right, you guys ready to move on to the game 3 nights ago?
Yeah, let's get away from whatever the hell that game was.
All right, moving on. Thursday Night Football. Oh, I just want to mention really quickly, I didn't mention it. As always, we're recording during Sunday Night Football, so if you see us looking up, we're watching the game. We will get to that at the end of the video. But Giants at Niners. The Niners just matched up really well with the Giants. You kind of knew going in, the Niners front on defense, just it is what it is. They're just amazing. The Giants O-line sucks. They got some injuries. Thomas was out. Neal sucks. And then Saquon Barkley. No Saquon meant that this game was going to be ugly early, and the Giants were going to have to pull something that they had in the second half against Arizona, and they couldn't do that. Purdy looked a little better. Not great, not as great as week 1 still, but not as bad as week 2. So I think they'll take that, and the Niners are 3-0, and like I said at the top here, they're one of the favorites.
I kind of disagree with you. I think Purdy looked really bad in the first quarter and a little bit of the second quarter, but then he really picked it up in the second half.
I'm talking as a whole, though.
As a whole, yeah, he was good. That's all I have. But in the first quarter, he had a lot of like rough throws.
He did.
But he settled in, and then he started feeding Christian McCaffrey. Debo popped off in the second half with that gorgeous throw and catch. And then Kittle, he showed up a little bit too. But I called it, and I said Christian McCaffrey's going to have a good game. And if they weren't blowing him out, I'm sure he would have reached that 100-yard mark I predicted. But
Debo's yak is just crazy, man.
He's
just a freak. He's just a freak. He bulked up.
He doesn't need to bulk up. He's already massive.
He did need to bulk up. that was the whole thing. The offseason, Shanahan was telling him he needed to bulk up. He bulked up, and he looks like he's running like a Najee between the tackles.
That's crazy.
A lot less yards, but yeah.
But yeah, in Giants, they're missing weapons. Daniel Jones has nothing really to work with outside of Saquon, but Daniel Jones also wasn't playing fantastic to begin with. You saw that one meme where his eyes were going back and forth a million times before the snap that one time. You know you're screwed once you're going against that.
Yeah.
But that's honestly all I have for this one.
Yeah, Debo and CMC both look great. Debo obviously had a good game. Christian McCaffrey's scored a touchdown now in 12 straight games with the 49ers, so that's very impressive. One big thing from this game, I was very disappointed in Daniel Jones. He just didn't play good, missed a lot of throws. They were comparing Waller to LeBron James, and he couldn't hit him on open throws. Yeah, he just had a not a great game from him. You want to see better. Well, yeah.
Yeah. The only benefit of the doubt I'll give him is what quarterback really looks good against the Niners. I mean, he hasn't been good all season, but his two worst games, I mean, Cowboys and Niners, kind of tough on the defensive end there. But I don't know. I still like Brock Purdy. I still obviously love the Niners. And I hope that Saquon's not out too long because the season will end quickly for the Giants if he doesn't come back quickly.
I thought I saw that he was going to be out another 4 to 8 weeks.
No, I saw that too. I think that might have been a Doug Cleveland, but
maybe. But I mean, I saw before the Thursday night game, I saw he was going to be out 1 to 3 weeks, and then he was ruled out for Thursday night. And then after Thursday night on Friday, they said 4 to 8, and I'm like, all right, this could be really bad for the Giants.
Yeah.
But Purdy's climbing my list a little bit too. I'm not going to lie, but like you said, this Niners team is really good, top to bottom. It's going to be hard for them to lose games if Purdy is playing like he did in the second half.
Yeah. Purdy's 11-1 as a starter. I think that's all you really have to say. He gets the job done. He wins games.
And the one is the championship game, right?
Throughout his elbow.
I feel like I've even seen like ESPN like just straight up not counting that game and just seeing like undefeated.
I think they might have been saying regular season maybe because he came
that is
last
true.
year.
Could have been, but I mean I wouldn't blame them for not counting that game. But
I wouldn't either.
Why not? All right, you guys ready to move on?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mike. Next game here, Colts at Ravens. My number one thing is they're a feisty group. The Colts are a feisty group, man. Minshew needs to be a New York Jet tomorrow, though. Crazy that
no, I don't do that.
But you know it needs to happen. I mean, the Jets have nothing at quarterback, and there's teams like the Lions and like the Colts, and who else had a really good backup come in? I can't remember off the top of my head. But there's teams that have great quarterbacks, and the Jets just can't even get their hands on one. The Ravens' injuries are tough. Let me see. I had this pulled up over here. Maybe it's gone. All right, I'm going to read off the current Ravens injuries right now. On offense, Dobbins, Justice Hill, Gus Edwards, Keaton Mitchell, Odell, Rashad Bateman, Tylen Wallace, Tyler Linderbaum, Andrew Voorhees, Ronnie Staley, Nick Moore. That's on offense. Defense, Marlon Humphrey, Damarian Williams, Trayvon Mullen, Marcus Williams, Adarius Washington, Odafe Owe, David Ojabo, Malik Him, and Tyus Bowser. That's their injury report right now. That is disgusting. That's no excuse. The Colts just went in and they got the dub.
I'll kind of lay off the Colts a little bit because I'll let you take care of that one, Mike. But the Ravens, it looked like they were doing good on the first drive and attacking the seams through the air with Lamar and Mark Andrews a little bit. But after the first quarter, it seemed they just couldn't get anything else going. That Colts front kind of just forced them into a lot of third and longs, and they couldn't convert anymore. And I mean, I had something else I wanted to say. Oh, Roquan Smith, when he was on the Bears, he was no respect at all. Gets on the Ravens, all of a sudden he's, according to ESPN, someone on ESPN said he's the 5th best defensive player in the league. If you're on the Bears, you don't get any respect. Given how the season's going, I get that now, but partway through last year, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Good players don't get respect on bad teams.
Yeah. Like you said, Zach, the Ravens started out hot. They look good, and Juju Brents in his first game, second possession, strips Kenyon Drake. Colts get the ball, and from that moment, the game completely changed. Colts started dominating. Zach Moss had a very good game again. He did get banged up a little bit with his forearm, but he seems to be okay. Kyle Hamilton for the Ravens had an incredible game on the defensive side. Gardner Minshew just couldn't spot him a couple plays. He had like 3 sacks, forced fumble, was all over the place. And I don't know why this year. I don't remember this in other years, but all of a sudden, announcers and everybody just on social media just decides there's asterisk games where if you win, you have to put an asterisk by it. It's absurd to me. But they're saying the Ravens injuries, the refs. This should be an asterisk win for the Colts. The Colts were missing their quarterback, their running back, and their center. That's 3 of the most important positions on offense. So, I mean, it's absurd to me.
I
And
mean,
then on
the
top of
Bears,
that,
the Bears were missing Tevin Jenkins, so I'd like to put an asterisk win next to the Chiefs. I just
Yeah.
want to put that out there.
yeah. And on both sides in this game, the refs were just not good. The Ravens got away with a holding penalty on basically every play. But the player of the game, just needless to say, Matt Gay. I mean, broke a record, 4 50-plus yard field goals. I mean, never been done before, so there's no one to compare it with. Justin Tucker had a chance to win it from, I think, 61 yards. The announcer said he could hit it from 70 yards. No doubt they saw him do it. 10 yards short, but yeah. Don't even get me started on the announcers in this game. Just all over the Ravens. But yeah, the announcers thought Justin Tucker could hit a field goal from Mars. I
didn't have the volume on, but for that one, but I'm happy I didn't.
Yeah.
From what I hear, the gravity on Mars is a little bit different, so I can kind of understand that.
I mean, you got to make it back to Earth, though. But you said Juju Brents, Mike. We talked about in the preseason. I mean, Rush isn't relevant anymore, but we said Rush, Brents, and Nick Cross as 3 of the young DBs for the Colts that need to perform. So it's good that he got out there today. But yeah, this is just it's a gutsy win. The Colts, especially if Anthony Richardson comes in and looks like he did in the first half last week, the Colts could be a team that maybe, I mean, playoffs might be a little bit of a stretch, but like in the hunt towards the end of the season, I think that's definitely possible. I don't think that's out of the question at all.
I mean, you look at the rest of the NFC, or not NFC, the AFC South. I mean, Texans, I guess they're finding a little bit of a stride. The Jags, they're struggling. And the Titans, we don't know what they are. They just got held to 3 points. And week 1, they only had 5 field goals. So we don't know what they're going to be. Derrick Henry was invisible today. But shout out Zach Moss. He was fantastic. He's really stepped into this RB1 role in the absence of JT. But really, really scrappy win. And what is with all these weird weather games within the first few weeks this year? I know last year there was Bears-Niners in the monsoon, but I feel like other than that, there wasn't anything crazy.
It's just the fact that it rains in the fall and it doesn't in the winter. I mean,
but I mean, I feel like there was only Bears-Niners in the terrible rain last year, but this year it's like every other game you flip on, there's terrible weather.
Well, that's because Ophelia was raving through the Northeast and this today.
That's true.
Ophelia was wreaking havoc.
Surely was. What that's all you guys got for this game, or do you got anything else to say, Mike?
I just gotta say, Shane Steichen, great game. Outcoached Harbaugh, forced him to use a couple timeouts with the field goals. Love to see it. And Gus Bradley getting that defense ready. That defense dominated the Ravens offense today. Gus Bradley had the boys ready. The Colts linebacking trio just looks incredible. Zaire Franklin, EJ Speed, and Darius Leonard. And then the D-line, Kwity Paye, had a phenomenal game.
Colts ran all over him, too.
Yeah, very proud of the defense, though. They had a lot of people talking bad about this defense, and they showed up today.
Yeah, Steichen's probably, if I had to, I mean, I'd have to like look at every single first year coach right now, but he's at the top. He's up at the top for sure. As far as even, I mean, we'll get to Gannon later, but honestly, I'm kind of impressed with Gannon as well. So both the Eagles,
Eagles just exceeding expectations.
I mean, they honestly both are. But
Cardinals were thought to maybe just not win a game, and considering they beat the Cowboys, we'll get to that later. But definitely something.
Before that, we will stay in the AFC South with the Titans at Browns. This game went exactly as we said in the preview. The Titans offense sucks, and the Browns defense is really, really good. And when that happens, you're not going to win. Like, there's just nothing the Titans can do. The Browns couldn't really run the ball without Nick Chubb as expected. They're still easing in Kareem Hunt. I'm sure next week I expect Kareem Hunt to be RB1. I would be pretty shocked if that wasn't the case. Jerome Ford wasn't great today. And Deshaun, after that boneheaded play in the first quarter, actually looked okay for the rest of the game. So there's that to take away, Browns fans.
I mean, I want to talk about the Titans a little bit. The way to beat them is just get up on them early, and you could just take their best player out of the equation. Like Derrick Henry, I feel like he got outsnapped by Tyjae Spears by a very large amount because you're not throwing Derrick Henry in on third downs to go catch a pass on 3rd and 7 and catch it behind the line of scrimmage and make a couple men miss. You're putting them back there in the I formation, just letting them bulldoze over people, trying to get you into a 2nd and 3rd or 2nd and 3 or whatever you want to call it. But like you said, Deshaun Watson, huge bounce back game, despite the one just incredibly stupid play. He showed a little bit of flash of that Houston Deshaun, and good thing he did because they're missing Nick Chubb. Rest in peace. But Amari Cooper, nice performance. I was very impressed by him. He could just separate like nobody else in this league. And yeah, I mean, Titans, they suck.
Yeah, I'm very disappointed in myself for picking the Titans to win this game. I just thought Vrabel would outcoach Stefanski, and I just, as a Titans hater, I should have known better. But yeah, Ryan Tannehill is just so bad. Like you said, Zach, if you get ahead on them, you take the best player out of the game. There's not much they can do. And Myles Garrett on the defensive side, he's just a menace. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw the play where they were just following 2 tight ends back and forth with him, forced the Titans to use a timeout. I mean, when you have a player like that, that's just, it's mean. And I guess I could get to later, but the battle between Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, and Micah Parsons for Depoy, that's going to be very fun to watch this year.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to point out this might be one of the worst running games efficiency-wise ever. Yeah. I mean, we got the Titans 15 carries, 26 yards, and the Browns 31 carries, 78 yards. So that was just absolutely horrible. Pierre Strong led the Browns in rushing, 6 carries, 27 yards. I love the Browns. They shouldn't have lost last week. They know they shouldn't have lost last week. They should be 3-0. And we'll see as they go on. I mean, this division, man. This division. A lot of elite defenses. So, I mean, just the Browns and the Steelers, man. Ridiculous.
Like you said, the division itself is super scary. They got talent on both sides of the ball on all 4 teams. I mean, you got Myles Garrett, like in that, I think it was the final play of the first half. He got 1-on-1 against the left tackle, just took away 3 points. That's all he did with the sack on Tannehill. So it's Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, Michael Parsons. You can even throw Nick Bosa in there. That Depoy is going to be, like you guys said, tight race, and it's going to be a real good one.
Yeah. And I know you mentioned it, Josh, but that Deshaun Watson play where he just threw the ball backwards, funniest play of the week. But Deshaun finally had a good game, so good for him.
That Deshaun play was like playing football with the family on like Thanksgiving, and you're like, whatever. Yeah. I'm just gonna do whatever. But that all, as we're saying with that division, Bengals gotta watch out and get it together quick.
I mean, they got a chance tomorrow.
I mean, yeah, but even then, even if the Bengals win like a semi-close game tomorrow, it's not going to be the most impressive thing.
I mean, you just got to get a win.
They got to
find a way to get a win and just stay in it when you do find your stride.
This division is going to cannibalize itself. Yeah, it's going to be, especially. I don't have it right in front of me, but I'm assuming that the Bengals are playing Pittsburgh and the Browns. Well, they just played the Browns, but I'm guessing that they're playing Pittsburgh pretty soon. And you do not want to be running away from TJ Watt. Well, they got a while.
He'll be a statue back there if they play him soon because of that calf.
Yeah, they don't even. I guess they don't play them until like week 10, but
yeah, then they play him twice. Then
it's like 10 and like 14. Yeah, it's like a Bears-Lions situation.
Whew, it's gonna be scary.
All right, moving on here. Saints at Packers. This game was just really, really weird. The Saints were up like 17-0, like. For most, it felt like most of this game.
Going into the fourth, I think.
Yeah, the Packers scored all 18 points in the fourth quarter, which is wild. Jordan Love had 9 carries today, which I thought was pretty interesting to see that he had 9 carries. But as a team, they didn't run it well. The Packers, we have to – I mean, if they would have lost this, would we have given them an asterisk for all the injuries? I don't know.
Yeah.
We might have had
give him an asterisk victory.
yeah, but yeah, the Packers were playing with house money in this game. They won with basically all of their best players injured. So you got to give it to that. And now I have my note on here. I could remember the other team I was thinking of with a good backup quarterback, the Saints. The Saints, like the Colts, are very lucky that they have two serviceable quarterbacks.
Are they though? I mean, up 17-0 and your backup quarterback comes in and he can't.
Well, he
get
wasn't ready to
anything.
come in. I mean,
It
it's
doesn't
not.
matter. Like
If Jameis had a whole week to start, Jameis would be one
you're
of the
telling me,
best backup
you're
quarterbacks
telling
in the
me he
league.
can't muster up 3 points to win the game.
Packers defense is good. Yeah, Packers.
But they were tired and missing Jair Alexander too.
Tired
That's
is crazy. That's a crazy excuse. Everyone was tired.
You're telling me you're telling me
professionals.
not going to affect someone going into the fourth quarter?
Honestly, if
it's
anything,
they were first home game. They're jacked up.
They were jacked up. And Lambeau too.
Yeah, very true. But for me, Jordan Love, again, nothing special. But I will say the trio of Watson, Dobbs, and Reed, that's going to be scary. I don't want to see that twice a year for the rest of my life, and it's going to be nasty. And they don't even have Watson yet. Reed and Dobbs, they both made crazy catches on that game-winning touchdown drive. They wowed me today. Jordan Love, he did not. And I bet if they have Aaron Jones, it's just going to make life for Jordan Love easy.
Do you need a 500-yard passing game from Love? Is that what you need?
No, I just need to see I just need to see someone be consistent. I don't want to see someone look like he's drunk trying to play football, just scrambling by his feet like he's chasing after a ping pong ball. It's just he doesn't look like a good quarterback to me. He could change that by the end of the year. We're only 3 games in, and 4 starts into his career. He could change my mind. He really could, but I don't
want to bring the Bears back up, but I just have to say, 3 years of saying that Fields is a good quarterback, and you're watching Love go 2-1, and you're saying that you don't see it there.
If you're
what did Fields have throwing the ball that Jordan Love doesn't have?
It's just,
the fact that he can throw the ball.
Yeah.
Well,
he just doesn't look he just doesn't look that good to me.
Yeah, I thought Jordan Love looked all right. I mean, first half he struggled. He had a couple bad overthrows. But they do need Aaron Jones and Christian Watson to return, especially Aaron Jones. That's the lifeblood of their offense. But like you said, Zach, that those young receivers today showed out. Romeo Dobbs, Jaden Reed, again, had another great game. I've been saying it all summer. He's going to be good. Dontavion Wicks had a couple big plays. The Packers just didn't quit, so credit to them. Great coaching job. Jimmy Graham got a touchdown. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Yeah, I did.
Somehow.
There's legend.
Old as dirt. Yeah, but like you said, Josh, the injury, Derek Carr AC sprain. So that's something to monitor. If Jameis will go next week, we'll have to see.
And then Jameis will get a full week, and wow him. Who do they got next week? Let's see. They have the Buccaneers. Decent test.
Oh, revenge game.
Yeah,
that's a strong front seven.
Oh my god! Oh, it's over.
He's throwing 3 touchdowns, 3 picks.
You do not want to be a Tampa Bay Buccaneer.
Is it in Tampa? Is it in Tampa?
I already clicked on it. Let me see. No, it's in New Orleans.
Oh,
wow.
Either way,
super dumb.
Yeah, I like the Saints. Definitely like the Saints in that game. All right, you guys ready to move on to this game?
I got one more thing to say about the Saints real quick. Chris Olave, he was fantastic today. He really took advantage of the no Jair Alexander standing across from him. Michael Thomas, he's still trying to get his feet under him, it looks like, because he hasn't played a full season in 5 years, it feels like. But he's not that 140 catch guy anymore, but he's doing all right. I respect it.
Yep, I'm with you.
I do. I got one more thing to say. Packers got booed off the field, I think, at halftime, and they responded, coming back and win.
Where's my team?
Bears got booed off the field and responded by getting blown up.
Bears get booed off the field and just get responded by getting booed off the field in the second
and then
half.
And then the players are like, "Why are you guys booing us? We're not that bad."
Yeah,
they're close.
It's wild.
They just need one to turn it around, man. That's all it is.
I'm kind of pro booing when it gets really bad.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, it's like, damn.
I've seen a lot of it in 2020, 2021. I've seen a lot of it.
2022, 2023.
This year, yeah, but
every year, but
2022 wasn't that bad. I feel like it wasn't that bad in 2022 because Fields just ran the ball on 3rd and 15 and picked up a first down. or ran for a touchdown every other time he touched the ball.
Oh,
Obviously, can't throw
I
it.
forgot to say in the Bears thing, I was going to say 4 more games for the calendar year. 4 more. Got to
I
get
don't care about
one.
that, honestly. I'm ready for.
Got to get
Give
one.
me to the off. Can I just sim to the off season, please?
Well,
I'll do my dev traits later. I want to get there.
all right, you guys ready?
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the next game here, Lions and Falcons. I just want to start this off by saying Brian Branch, 45th pick in the NFL draft, 23rd defensive player taken, 7th defensive back selected. And today he goes out there and continues his great start to his NFL career. 11 tackles, 3 TFLs, and 2 pass breakups. He was just all over the field today, and he replaced as much as humanly possible that we lost in CJ Gardner-Johnson. So I just wanted to give him his flowers where it's due. He was the entire team today. Sam Laporta is tight end 1 in the league right now, which is crazy. But that's just another Lions rookie that's really thriving. The second round guys are looking amazing so far. Cam Sutton never, ever gets talked about among Lions fans, and Lions fans trash every DB for every mistake they make, and you never hear his name, which tells me that he's been phenomenal. So you signed him to a 3-year deal in the offseason, and that's just another bright spot on this team. I will give one bad spot in this win. Jerry Jacobs is just so bad. Like, he is truly horrible. It sucks that we don't have the best corner depth because it's crazy that he ever sees the field. But he tries really hard, so that's cool, I guess. The D-line, we were talking about it the past couple weeks. That has been the biggest problem so far. They played really good against the Chiefs week 1, didn't get a sack. And they played horrible against the Seahawks with their backup tackles. And today they go out and they get 7 sacks against Atlanta, which is a good O-line with good tackles. And it was just a fun game today. The Lions just dominated. They did this week what they should have done last week.
Yeah, you really couldn't said it better. The Lions just dominated today. Beat the Falcons in total yards, passing yards, rushing yards, yards per play. They just controlled the clock, it felt like, and they just kept scoring, and the Falcons couldn't. It was really good game by all the Lions rookies, or at least the major ones. Jahmyr Gibbs, his first game, I think it was with the lead back role. He had 80 yards. Laporta, like you said, he was phenomenal. Brian Branch, he was really good as well. But unfortunately for the Falcons, Ritter wasn't fantastic today. He wasn't making like game-breaking mistakes or anything. And unfortunately, Bijan, he wasn't really finding as many holes as he wanted to. And Ritter, I do think he missed a deep ball or 2 to Kyle Pitts from what I saw, which was kind of unfortunate. So,
Yeah, that's something I got down. Just please, I'm going to say it every week, get Kyle Pitts out of Atlanta. He doesn't deserve to be there. But yeah, like you guys both said, the Lions rookie class looked great today. Jahmyr Gibbs, Jack Campbell, Brian Branch, and Sam Laporta all had a good game. Aiden Hutchinson had a great game, 4 tackles, 2 sacks, forced fumble recovery, 2 pass breakups. And that defense bottled up Bijan Robinson, who had looked like the best running back in the NFL through the first 2 weeks. He couldn't get anything going. That defense looked very good, and yeah.
Speaking of Bijan, did you guys catch that the Brian Branch hit on Bijan that
I
he
don't
got
think I
flagged
saw
for?
it.
Bijan lowered his helmet. Branch smacked him. His helmet fell off, and they called unsportsmanlike or personal foul. That was maybe one of the worst personal foul calls I've ever seen. I don't understand how we could be in a world where a running back lowers his head and the DB gets called for the personal foul. But besides that, I was here earlier this week talking about Aaron Glenn and about how bad he's been, and he really bounced back this week. So I'm very happy to see that. You can't go lay another stinker on defense after last week. So I'm happy they went out there and they responded as a group. Like you said, Mike, Hutch was amazing. He was all over the field as well. He led the league in pressures going into this week. We'll see when the pressures get announced. I assume he's going to continue to lead the league. Got the 2 sacks he needed to get his season going and make it up for the past couple weeks and not just quite missing his sacks. Tracy Walker played great in place of Kirby. Really hoping, I know it's a short week this week. We head to Green Bay for Thursday night. So 2 Thursday night games in the first 4 weeks for the Lions. But short week. I hope we can get him back. It would be nice to get David Montgomery back as well. than hopefully Taylor Decker. I'm assuming Decker and Kirby should be good to go for Thursday, but that's going to be huge. The Lions' biggest issue today was just the O line. We just cannot get anybody to stay healthy on the O line. We already have Panay moved over to left tackle for Decker. Panay is obviously a natural right tackle. He's playing left tackle for Decker, and we had Matt Nelson at right tackle today. He gets hurt. Dan Skipper comes in, got him off the practice squad this week. He gets hurt, and then we have our rookie guard Colby Sorzal, who had to play a little bit of right tackle today. That did stunt the offense a bit. Goff was under pressure. That's why you see in the second half the offense wasn't clicking as much as it was in the first half. But Lions just got to get healthy on the O-line. It's our biggest strength. We have injuries like CJ Gardner-Johnson where we're just going to have to deal with that. Like it just is what it is. He's going to be out for the rest of the season. But the small ticky-tack injuries on the O-line, got to fix that up because this team goes as far as the offense is going to take them. If the offense can continue to put up 30 points, then we don't need games like we had today from the defense where you don't allow a single touchdown. But it's great that in a game where we did have to beat up O-line and the offense wasn't fantastic, that the defense was able to go in and have their best game, maybe under Denny Campbell.
I didn't have this game on any of my primary screens. It wasn't on Red Zone very much, so I'm going to trust what you said. You really said it really well. But I will say they didn't allow a touchdown, like you said. That secondary, they get more time to gel. They're gonna only get better. And Brian Branch, he can be a very key part of that secondary going forward. Whether they decide to bring back Gardner Johnson next year, especially him being on a one-year prove-it deal, I mean, he'd be huge to bring back. But if you have Brian Branch the way that he's playing, maybe you don't need to go spend that 10 to 15 million again because he kind of already made that locker room impact and he could teach from the sidelines a little bit, especially for all the younger guys. But I just didn't see a lot of this game. I'm trusting what you said. Hutch, if he continues what he's doing, maybe you can throw him in the depoy conversation. I feel like that's not that big of a stretch. So
I don't think so either. I don't think he'll win it. I think obviously prefer Parsons and TJ Watt and Myles Garrett and Nick Bosa. But Hutch is right up there in that second tier.
He's playing really good. He's just not getting like the sack numbers to really compete with those guys as of now.
Yep.
Yeah, he never gives up. Amon-Ra had another great game. 9 catches, 102 yards. And like you said, Josh Sam Laporta, great game. I think he's definitely knocking on the door of being a top 5 tight end already in the NFL.
100%. It's just funny to hear like how everyone clowned the Lions on this draft and every single guy. Jack Campbell hasn't been fantastic. I'm talking like mainstream media about reaching for guys. Obviously, Gibbs hasn't put up insane stats yet. He looked great running between the tackles today, which was huge. We needed to see that with David Montgomery being hurt, obviously. But didn't get a lot of receiving yards today. Wasn't a huge part of the offense in that realm, but he didn't really need to be. So I loved what I'm seeing out of him. But yeah, I'm just happy about this Lions team. Like I said, they're going to Green Bay Thursday night. And I can confidently say, I'm just going to make my pick here. The Lions are going to go and they're going to punk Green Bay. I am very, very confident. I haven't been this confident about the Lions beating Green Bay in a long time. But they're going to go and we can go back and clip this if they lose on Thursday. But I'm here to say I think they go and I think they punk Green Bay.
I mean, given what if Green Bay's injuries stay the way that they are, I mean, I can see it. Especially if they're missing Bakhtiari, you can move Hutch over on both sides, and he can really get damage from both sides there. I mean, I know we should probably save a little bit of this for the preview next episode, but I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs, as long as he's really running between the tackles, he can really force that Packers defense to stay down, and then Goff can make them pay with Amon-Ra and
or if Montgomery plays.
Guys. Yeah, Montgomery too. I mean,
if Montgomery plays
against Green Bay,
and Green Bay's run defense is bad, so it's a tough matchup for them if the Lions can be healthy. Speaking of healthy, though, I did want to touch on Saint. He wasn't really projected to play. He was dealing with a toe injury, but he just is just one of those guys that he just plays through it. And I love having those guys in Detroit. I mean, Stafford was one of those guys. He just always played through the injury no matter what. So I always respect that. And he's just a tough guy, and then goes out and has another great game today. But yeah, I've said all I needed to say about this one.
Yeah, same here.
All right. Moving on, AFC South once again, Texans at Jags. I completely forgot that the Texans own the Jags. Like, I don't know why that just didn't cross my mind when we were making the picks. I know the Jags are a better team, of course, but there's always those like interdivision, like Shanahan owns McVay in the regular season. Like those things were just like the Colts struggle in Jacksonville, like those little things. I forgot that the Texans own the Jags. So that was definitely on me. CJ Stroud, 906 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, still 0 picks in 3 games. I love what I've seen from Stroud. I wish Richardson was playing so that could still be the ladder of who's the best rookie quarterback. But I guess by default at this point it has to be Stroud. But that's just because AR hasn't played. The Jags the whole first half, it was missed field goal, blocked field goal, punts, fumbles. They just really couldn't get it together. And the Texans, even though the Jags made a little bit of a push early in the second half, the Texans kind of had control this entire game.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. CJ Stroud, he's been phenomenal for rookie quarterback. He looks just like a vet, like a 5-year vet sitting in the pocket. He knows how to just set his feet, pump, move his eyes, get a safety out of the way, relocate himself if he feels pressure on his back, and just throw a dime. He looks really good. And honestly, if there's ever been a quarterback to break the Ohio State curse, it's CJ Stroud, as much as I hate to say it. And welcome to the NFL, Tank Dell. He was fantastic today. That was fun to see. Nico Collins had a couple big catches. I think he converted on a third and moderate or long in the third quarter at some point, or might have been the second quarter. I don't know. But what's going on with the Jags? I don't know what their issue is. I feel like Trevor just doesn't look like his normal self, like maybe sort of slipping out of that top 10 conversation as an NFL quarterback. Maybe I'm overreacting a little bit, just the first 3 games, but with a lot of chances to do some damage and really put his name into the top 5 conversation, he's kind of done the opposite, and he's looked very inconsistent.
Yeah, I had brought it up during the game preview that I think Trevor Lawrence was 1-3 against the Texans. He struggles against them. Bobby Slowick, the Texans offensive coordinator, he was brought with DeMeco Ryans, who's another rookie coach who's looked very good so far.
DeMeco Ryans for sure. Yeah, completely forgot about him. Yes.
Yeah. But Bobby Slowick, the offensive coordinator, he was brought, I think, the quarterback coach from San Francisco. This offense has looked great. I mean, like you said, both of you said, CJ Stroud, he looks like a star in the making. This AFC South now might have 3 quarterbacks, young quarterbacks that look very good. I don't know what to think about the Tennessee guys, but CJ Stroud, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. We see these young quarterbacks, they throw a bad interception in preseason and everyone thinks they're not going to look good. I think all 3 of them had a bad interception, and now Richardson's look good and CJ Stroud's obviously look good. And like you said, Zach, Tank Dell has looked incredible so far. Another good game after following up he did last week against the Colts. 5 catches, 145 yards. The best play of the day, though, the Andrew Beck fullback scum kick.
Amazing.
Returns it all the way. Very embarrassing for the Jaguars. And we said it in the preview, the Jaguars, they didn't do much in the offseason to make their roster better. And I think so far through 3 weeks, that's really shown.
Yeah, I was just going to touch on that. How shout out to us for maybe being right about the Jags. I mean, we all picked them to win the division, but we all also
had question marks.
Yeah, we all also said that the hype was kind of getting out of control for a team that did nothing in the offseason. I wouldn't say Trevor Lawrence has looked bad, but it's just like it's just like it's
he's not progressing.
Which is what we thought we were getting. I mean, last year he has the breakout. It's like, all right, this is the year they get, in theory, what at the time looked like a cupcake schedule, but it's every year we think we like look at strength of schedule like preseason, and then every single time it's like, oh, this team ended up having a hard ass schedule when it looked like they weren't going to. But yeah, I don't know. The Jags got to figure it out, man. A home loss too at that. They need to win all the like the Dolphins. Those teams need to win their warm weather games at home early in the season. You have to win those games. The Dolphins are doing that, and the Jags are just not.
I mean, the Dolphins are doing more than just winning their home warm weather games. We'll get to that later.
They are next.
We'll get to that next then. But like you said, I mean, they got to win those home games, especially the interdivision games, regardless of the opponent. If you want to compete for that division title, and make some noise in the playoffs, you got to win your divisional games. You got to show that you can beat the teams that you know you're better than. I still think the Jags have a better roster than the Texans, but Stroud just played really well, and a couple of the young guys for the Texans, they showed up today, and I feel like the Jags were just very lackluster at the same time.
Yep. I think we're 3 weeks into this season now. I think you can make a legit case for any team in the AFC South to win it at this point, considering how the Jags have looked. I mean, I wouldn't
disagree.
put the
I wouldn't
put
say
the Texans in
Titans
there.
now.
I was going to say
Oh,
Titans
yeah.
too. Yeah, I don't think they can
Titans, I
win.
guess. But I think this might actually be Jags versus Colts almost for the division. I think the Texans have a chance, but I don't think their defense will be able to hold up through the entire season. But it's going to be very.
They don't have
interesting to
enough talent up and down the entire roster, to be honest. But like Jags and Colts, yeah, I completely agree. They could definitely make a run for it.
If I had to make a prediction today, I would say that Jacksonville figures it out and that they squeeze the division out. But it really could be a 3-team race. But I just don't see it for the Titans at all. Moving on here though, another warm weather team. We just mentioned it, the Dolphins. I mean, what do we even have to say? 70 points? Do we just move on after that? Or like 70 points?
I'm good with that.
I really, really wish that Mike McDaniel would have just went for it and gotten the record just a field goal away. That would have been great. But 2023, we get 70 points in a game. That's just, it's wild. Devin Booker numbers. But yeah, really, really tough start for Sean Payton in Denver. He has had I mean the Commanders they looked really good last week. We'll get to them later, but yeah, it's been a really tough start for Sean Payton. All of the Dolphins' points were on offense. You look at a 70-point game, and you would assume like maybe there was like a pick 6 or 2 in there or something. Every point was on offense. 350 rushing
touchdowns.
Insane. 10 touchdowns, 350 rushing yards, 350 rushing yards, 375 passing yards. It's just insane. And this was one of those games that like usually like when you're going through the split screens or whatnot on Sunday Ticket, you'll cut out the blowout games. This is one you wanted to keep on. And all of this without Jalen Waddle.
Yeah.
It's actually insane. When your backup quarterback went 2 for 2 with 67 yards and a touchdown to Chosen Anderson, you know you're down horrendous. Like that's insane. And I think I tweeted about this earlier today. If I had to make a list today of my top 3 MVP candidates, I'd have Tua 1, Micah Parsons 2, and then Justin Herbert 3. We'll get to the Chargers in a little bit.
Vegas agrees with you. Tua's the favorite right now.
I'm not even looking at Vegas, but Tua he looks fantastic. I don't know if it's the sleeve or something, but there's no way you're a quarterback on a team that drops 70 points, and it's like he dropped a no-look shovel pass today. That was dope as shit. It was great. And I hate to go to the Broncos after being so high on the Dolphins, but what's going on? Like, you make back-to-back terrible trades involving first-round picks with Russell Wilson and Sean Payton, or at least the Sean Payton one looks bad right now. But it just seems like you're not solving anything.
Yeah. I mean, Sean Payton talked a lot about Nathaniel Hackett, and he's now 0-3. So that's a tough start for him. The Dolphins, I feel like you could talk about every player on their offense for about 10 minutes about how good they played. Devon Achane looked incredible. Raheem Mostert is 31 and looked incrable.
All of a sudden can't get hurt anymore. He was the guy that could never touch the field.
Not yet. Yeah. Don't want to say anything too soon.
I'm not gonna.
35 first half points. I think Tua's the MVP front runner at this point. He's been incredible. Second most yards in a game in NFL history with 726. Just crazy numbers. And like you said, Zach, the no-look shovel pass to Achane was just incredible. The Dolphins are so fun to watch. Mike McDaniel, I guess I never really thought about it, but is he a top 5, top 3 coach in the NFL right now? I think he almost has to be up there with how good this offense is.
It's also an extremely talented roster. Like,
I mean,
he's definitely. I would say he's fringe top 10. I wouldn't go top 5, top 3.
I don't know. I mean, there are teams out there with good weapons, but they're not using them to drop 70. They're not.
Yeah, it's fair.
So I mean,
and is Tua the most talented quarterback out there? No,
I wouldn't say talented, so. But
it's honestly crazy that like if Tua wins MVP, bro, like that's wild. I mean, like you guys said, he's the front runner right now. Vegas has him as the front runner. I think he's like plus 350 right now or something. And I saw some clips on Twitter. Have you guys been seeing the Broncos defense clips on Twitter? There were some horrid mistakes from the Broncos.
Like blown coverages and stuff.
Bad, bro. Like
I don't think I've seen any of them.
safety's playing way too deep, thinking like Tyreek Hill was gonna go over the top, and then he just finds a
Was that on
wide
Tyreek's
open.
54-yarder?
Yeah, it was like
okay.
he was like it looked like he was gonna go deep. Safety just played way back, and then he just kind of just came across the middle, and it was.
And that's what Tyreek does. Like that threat really just scares the shit out of you.
But you still can't you just can't let that happen. Like Tyreek's amazing, but you still can't let that happen as a defense.
And
linebackers not getting off blocks, like just some horrid stuff from the Broncos, to be honest. And I really like Sean Payton. I've always liked Sean Payton as a coach. I hate when people say he's overrated, but he's proven me wrong. And so I don't know.
Maybe they should get Kevin James out there and Sean
Yeah,
Payton.
yeah. Great weekend to be Kevin James. Bad weekend to be Sean Payton.
Yeah.
They dropped 70 points without Jalen Waddle. I just traded for Jalen Waddle in fantasy, so I'm excited.
The Tyreek celebration on that first touchdown, getting in with the fans, great celebration.
That was good.
It was like the inverse of like. Did you guys see the golf one? Where he like went to leap into the stands, he got like 2 inches off the ground and didn't even get close. It was so funny. But yeah, that was definitely the inverse of that. The Dolphins are free. Are they?
I think they're the best team in the league. I really do. And they don't even have Ramsey.
They
don't even have Ramsey yet.
They don't even have Ramsey.
They won't for a while.
Vic Fangio with this defense.
I want to. It's so hard to like be devil's advocate in this situation because of like 70 points is just wild.
Right.
But it is still early in the season. They haven't played phenomenal under this roster regime in colder weather. Let's see if they can go to Buffalo in January and still put up fights. But
I mean,
I'm a believer. I'm a believer.
Didn't they go to Buffalo with their backup quarterback and almost like they made it close?
They did. They definitely did. I was just using that as an example for
they need to be able to stay healthy.
They got to stay healthy, and they got to prove it in the postseason, 100%.
Yeah, we'll see if they do. I mean, the AFC is just AFC's good, man. I'm just thinking about like a Chiefs Dolphins AFC championship
in Kansas City.
Oh my God, maybe in Miami, honestly.
Oh, I mean,
at this point, the Chiefs have a
right
loss.
now. It is Miami because they're one.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, at this point, there are a lot of. I look around the league. There's some 2-1 teams that probably are 3-0 talents and vice versa. But all right, moving on here to 2 teams that I wish they were both 0-3: the Chargers and the Vikings.
I don't know what you're talking about.
My number one note on here is, of course, this is the one the Chargers win. Of course, it's the one they win. Can I opt out of picking Chargers games and just get a tie?
I'll go with you.
I would love to do that. I would rather just not even consider taking a win because it doesn't feel like a win. I guess I don't know what it feels like, but I would assume it's not going to feel like a win. But Herbert was amazing, but they just had no run game without Eckler again. Josh Kelly just isn't it. He's just not. The Vikings seem to always have, or this season, they seem to always have a ton of yards, but they just can't score like points. Like having immense amount of passing yards for Kirk every game and not being able to like consistently get to 30 is a problem. I mean, the Bucs defense is okay. This Chargers defense on paper should be good, but we know they're not. I'm not going to let myself get fooled. They're not good. And honestly, my biggest note here is both of these defenses suck. And it's a miracle that they both didn't score 30, let alone neither of them scoring 30. It's just wild.
I mean, if you would have told me that a game had a combined 90 points, I think we all would have thought it would have been this one.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I can only say that
don't give the Broncos that 20. Don't give them the credit.
I'm not even trying to like bring them into this, but I think I can officially say that Justin Herbert is not the problem. Because I think he's got 8 touchdowns this year and no turnovers at all. He's playing absolutely fantastic. Keenan Allen even is getting in on the fun and throwing for a 50-yard touchdown Mike Williams, when he's healthy, he's fantastic, but I saw him getting carted off earlier. So that really sucks. Keenan Allen, 215 yards receiving on 18 receptions. I'm just seeing this now, which is absurd. And I remember saying last week that we saw a little vintage Keenan Allen. Is he back? We don't know. Gerald Everett, he was getting a little bit of receiving work underneath, so that was nice. But they need Eckler back. Once they get Eckler back, and if the defense can play to their talent, this could be a really scary team in the AFC. And it's really weird to say that because they're 1-2 right now and beat an 0-2 and now 0-3 Vikings team. But I know you said you wish they were both 0-3. I feel like they both deserve to be 3-0, 2-1.
Oh, don't. The Vikings
I'm not even
deserve to be 3-0. The Vikings do not deserve.
It was the Bucs.
Let's talk about the Eagles.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think Kirk's playing that bad this year. That's just me though. And Jefferson, he's got 450 yards in 3 games. He's breaking 2K this year. And so is Tyreek. We're gonna have 2 receivers breaking 2,000 yards this year, which is gonna be insane. But Chargers need Eckler back. They need some sort of run game up front, or else they're not going to be able to have any success later in the season once Herbert gets like thrown those good defenses and good coverage drops and switches and all that.
Yeah. One of my notes, I didn't mention it, but on top of the DPOY race, I think for OPOY race, Tyreek Hill versus Justin Jefferson will definitely be something to watch. Both receivers that, like you said, could have 2,000 yard seasons. McCaffrey too, yeah. It looks like the Vikings 1-score game has turned on its head this year. I think they're at 0-2 at least, maybe 0-3. I think just 0-2.
Who did the Vikings play?
Eagles and Bucks.
Yeah, those are both 1-score. Yeah, 1-3 now because the Eagles game ended up being 1-score technically.
Yeah, so that's turned on its head. The Chargers, I don't know if I've seen a team try as hard to lose again. You could almost justify firing Brandon Staley after this game to me, just for the way he coached. Going for the 4th and 1 on their own 24-yard line.
That was crazy.
1:57 left. And then you hand it off to a running back who had 12 yards on 11 carries. I just don't understand the logic in that at all. Kellen Moore is probably part of that too. So I just don't understand that.
Taking the ball out of Herbert's hand in that situation, even despite going for it, like that's a crazy decision in and of itself. Taking it out of Herbert's hand, the guy who's got, I think he had like 375 at that time. Like insane that you take it out of his hands.
Wow, I just
wow.
I hate to get over this, but the Steelers are getting shafted right now.
Yeah, really? That's bad.
They had a bad roughing the passer and a horrible personal foul that just got called on a field goal. Now the Raiders are going to have a fresh set of downs. That's wild. But where were we? This is a game that I know Herbert played well, and I know
very well.
Yeah, I guess the Chargers defense played okay. But this feels like a game they should have lost. Like you playing against a team in the Vikings who just have a horrible run defense and you can't run the ball at all. Like that's just, I get you don't have Eckler, but like the Vikings are bad, bro. Like their run defense is really, really bad. I wish the Chargers would have lost this game, even as an NFC North fan. I feel like the Chargers are like a pseudo NFC North team for me now. Like I almost wanted them to lose over the Vikings, but I don't know. I think the Vikings or the Chargers, I guess should be good, but they're not a team where like their talent or their coaching or anything matters. They're just like it's just like a coin toss. To be honest, like that maybe that's what I do for the Chargers. Maybe I'll literally flip a coin every week.
I mean,
Cardinals flipping a coin. Bears.
I picked it right, so I don't know.
No, they do play the Bears, don't they?
Sunday Night Football in LA. I think
the Bears are going to win.
Why are the Bears on Sunday Night
Football?
Why are the Bears on Sunday Night?
Because coming into the year, it was Justin Fields and DJ.
Is it late in the season?
And it's their week 8,
so it can't get flexed.
Yeah.
Sucks.
I mean, that'll be gross, honestly. But I mean, who knows? Maybe the Bears will score 30 and the Chargers will just let them win.
Bears might win that game, honestly. Like that's a game that the Chargers like. At least the Bears will probably at least hang in that one.
Maybe that'll be the one game where the Chargers defense actually shows up talent wise, and then keeps the Bears to their 10 to 17 points like they have.
It'll be a get right game for them.
Every game again, like Bears Broncos next week. This is going to be Sean Payton's get right game. Week after that, it'll be the Vikings get right game, like or Commanders, and then the Vikings, then the Raiders. Like
the Vikings desperately need a Bears get right game
they
right
need
now.
That now, yeah, they need that today.
They're fiending for a Bears get right game.
After seeing the Chiefs get a get right game against the Bears, they need it bad.
Well, the new thing with the Bears is, I think Big Cat said it, the Bears are now the game that you bring your new girlfriend to just dominate.
Yeah.
Good.
Me and my roommate were talking about the exact same thing about how this is. I feel like he picked this game in particular. He
knew what he was doing.
Absolutely. All right, moving on here.
Go. Just going to the QB sneak thing. In this age with the Eagles, how they've developed a way to just get the QB sneak to go. You have Justin Herbert, a big quarterback. Why not just have Justin Herbert run the QB sneak there and just get the first down like that? I don't understand.
Staley gets in his own head. He gets in his own head, I feel like.
He tries getting cute.
But yeah, I am kind of just now processing the fact that the Bears and the Vikings are both sitting at 0-3 in the bottom of that division now. And I mean, I know we got the game Thursday night for the division, so that'll be fun. Maybe the Packers and the Lions will just beat up on the Vikings and the Bears all year. That would be nice.
I got one more thing to say about the QB sneak thing. I got 4 highlights from the Bears game. One of them was they successfully converted on a 3rd and short with that QB sneak.
Here you go, attaboy.
I was so excited for it. And I'm like, why don't we do that more? And I realized, because we're always in 3rd and longs because we like to throw screen passes. That's why. So
yeah, you got to get to 3rd and 4th and 1.
Get the 3rd and short first.
Yeah. Pats and Jets here is the next one I got. Like another game where honestly this might have been our best week for preview to actual results. We were right on a lot of these game scripts, at least maybe not all the winners, but that we said this one was going to be a slugfest. It absolutely was. The Pats and Bill Belichick will take a game like today every single time, and they know that they're going to win this game. You could tell, even though the game was close, you could tell the whole game. This is a game the Patriots win. This is a game that Bill Belichick always wins, and they just did it. And 15 straight now for the Pats over the Jets. That's just, that's tough.
Yeah, you hate to see it. The Patriots did just enough on both sides of the ball. Not that they had to do much on defense because you're facing Zach fucking Wilson, and he sucks ass. But free Garrett Wilson. Poor guy. He was supposed to have a breakout year. I'm probably going to say this every single week until the end of the year. Supposed to have a breakout season with Aaron Rodgers at the helm, but now he's getting stuck with Zach Wilson missing an easy touchdown pass on a slant route by overthrowing it over, like, just in front of him and just making a tough catch out of it. Breece Hall, he complained last week. He only got 4 or 8 touches, came out, got 12, 1.5 yards a carry. I don't even know if you can say that he's still ramping up, but you can't talk shit like that and then come out and perform like that. But you need Breece, Dalvin Cook to carry this offense in order to win games with Zach Wilson at quarterback, and they're just not doing it. And part of that's the O-line. They're not playing well either.
Mm-hmm. The O-line has just not been good. Patriots 15th straight win against the Jets now. I'm with you, Zach. I'm very disappointed. I traded for Zach Wilson in a dynasty league. It has not worked out for me.
Garrett
Wilson, yeah.
Yeah.
I had a thought.
Nobody traded for Zach Wilson.
Yeah. I had a thought. Speaking of Zach Wilson, we talked about the Bears moving on with Justin Fields. Do the Jets just go out there and try to trade for Justin Fields if the Bears don't like him anymore?
I feel like you just have to give Fields the rest of the season because it's year 3.
Fields ain't getting traded. Fields is not getting traded.
I don't think he does.
No,
I don't think he gets traded, but would they try to? Is the question.
I mean, if the Jets reach out, maybe, depending on what the organization is feeling. But if you trade Fields, then I guarantee Flus and Getsy are fired the next day.
And I don't love that as a mid-season deal for the Jets either.
Yeah,
just because Fields can't pass, so and you're giving him a worse O-line, better weapons, but worse O-line. And I don't know.
But I mean, wouldn't you rather have Fields back there behind a bad O-line to
definitely. But mid-season, you don't have the Bears had all off season. They couldn't figure out design runs, even though they did it all year last year. for some reason, but that's how
They
it
also,
is.
the Jets also had to dumb down their offense from practicing with Aaron Rodgers the entire offseason and having, I talked about it during the preview, how Rodgers was able to go between formations with different personnel because he's just that smart and can read a defense that way and switch it on a dime. And Zach Wilson can't do that. So you're stuck within those 1 to 2 checks per play, and you're basically screwed if your quarterback can't do anything outside of that. So
But either way,
shout out to-
they haven't been able to structure an offense around Zach Wilson, even like pre Aaron Rodgers.
Mhm.
So like
Right.
it's kind of just the same shit.
Well, Zach Wilson is just bad. So
Yeah, that's honestly that's one of my notes. It's just Zach Wilson is just so bad. That's one of my notes.
Yeah.
What a wild miss from NFL scouts. Just an all-time miss.
I think Chris Sims had, like, back in that 2021, he had Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Kellen Mond, Justin Fields. 2 through 4, whiff.
Should we address this now, Mike? Can you say on the record, Zach, that it was never 1A, 1B with Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields?
coming out of going into college or coming
out of college into the draft.
I still feel it was that way. I feel like they were always like Fields outplayed Trevor like whenever they played against each other.
That doesn't mean anything though.
Sure,
like
sure,
as prospects,
but you show up in the college football playoff and you see Fields drop 6 touchdowns on them, 4 of them with broken ribs. Like that's definitely reigns supreme in my mind, way more than anything Trevor Lawrence ever did.
Look at Max Duggan. Like he showed up in the college football playoff. Didn't he have
where's he
broken ribs too?
Cut.
Yeah, cut. Exactly. Fields on the way. But you guys ready to move on here?
I just want to say Christian Gonzalez, another great game.
Oh yeah.
And like you said, Josh, the way the Patriots played, I think the Patriots just played to not lose this game. Yeah. They didn't really play to win. They just played not to lose. They played safe.
That's kind of how you have to play.
Sometimes it
Jets.
works.
That's true. Yeah.
Sometimes.
When
Zeke also had a good game too. 5 yards to carry, 80 yards. He was pretty good.
When you play a team with a phenomenal defense and literally no offense, then you can afford to just be like, all right, we'll take our points as we get them, and we'll just stack them up because we know you're not scoring on us. And that's what they've seen for the past 7 years. So they knew what they were doing. Bill Belichick just owns New York. But yeah, Patriots might be one of the best 1 and 2 teams. I like them as one of the best 0 and 2 teams. So
Super Bowl time.
I like Mac Jones a lot. I mean, he obviously went against a tough defense today. But I think Mac Jones has actually looked pretty decent this year so far.
Second best quarterback in the draft, yeah.
I mean, honestly, he's been better than Fields.
I wouldn't even say honestly, it just is.
I mean, Zach Wilson doesn't even count. Who's the fifth?
Trey Lance.
Trout.
Trey Lance.
Yeah, exactly. But I still got Lance above Fields in my rankings. But all right, moving on to the next game here. Bills at Commanders. I don't have a ton to say about this game, except for the fact that the Bills are, after a struggle in week 1 with a Zach Wilson-led Jets team, they've gone back and they've dominated back-to-back inferior opponents. Been great on offense, been great on defense, and they were spectacular today. They owned Sam Howell.
I'm in the same boat as you. They fed James Cook again, back-to-back really good games on the ground for him, and this one especially against a good front like Washington's. Josh Allen, he took his checkdowns. He was smart with the ball. His only interception was kind of just a flail at the end of the game that really had no impact on it. But Sam Howell, 4 picks, not great. I wish they got Terry McLaurin involved a little bit. But I mean, we were kind of jumping up on Sam Howell a little bit, which kind of sucks that he kind of had this kind of performance after us, or me hyping him up a little bit. So sucks to see.
Yeah, Sam Howell, 4 interceptions, 9 sacks. Very embarrassing for the Commanders' O-line to get 9 sacks. Sam Howell had a couple plays early, had the spin move, looked all right, but overall just a bad game. Not a good game for him or Bieniemy. Josh Allen looked great though. 218 yards, touchdown, interception. And like you said, the interception was basically just a punt on a 3rd and 20. Stephon Diggs looked good. 8 catches, 111 yards. His nephew was there. Good game for him. But back-to-back weeks, the Bills look good.
Yeah, big week for Stephon Diggs, especially coming off his brother's bad injury earlier in the week. I saw he was doing the tributes to him with the eye black and whatnot. But yeah, this is huge for the Bills. I think this is just, as far as coming off of last season, how last season ended, the Bills needed to come out of this season and dominate. Slow start, with a bad loss against the Jets, like I said, but back-to-back weeks of just looking phenomenal. The defense, which was a very talented defense last year, top of the league, like top 5, I believe they were in yards and points, and they just improved, and they're still losing Von Miller. But overall, they did improve in the offseason, and they're going out and they're showing it. They played 3 pretty lackluster offenses in Washington, Oakland, not Oakland, Las Vegas, and the Jets. But at the end of the day, they're getting wins. They're doing what they need to do, and this team's going to go as far as Josh Allen's mistakes are going to take them. If you can limit them, they're a Super Bowl favorite. If he can't, then we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I completely agree. They're doing all this, hold Washington to 3 points without Von Miller, arguably their best defensive player and a superstar pass rusher. So you're going to need a guy like that come playoff time. And as long as they're stacking up wins, regardless if they're 30-point blowouts or 3-point just nail biters. I mean, in a division with the Dolphins, where they're going to probably win a good amount of games with the way they're playing, you need to win games in order to make the wild card in a stacked AFC. And if you're the Commanders, I mean, you kind of just got to burn the tape on this one. Have to just forget about it, move on to next week.
Yeah, and it should have been a shutout if it wasn't for that sorry field goal by Ron Rivera. So good job by the Bills defense. Good job by the Bills all around. Good win.
All right, moving on here. Panthers at Seahawks. Panthers really hung in there despite having Andy Dalton instead of Bryce Young at the helm. And it just kind of seems like overall the Seahawks are just playing down to their opponents, or playing to their opponent's level, I should say. They got killed by the Rams in week 1, which they shouldn't have done at home, especially. And then they play up to the Lions, who I still believe the Lions are a better team, regardless if the Seahawks beat us every single time. I still think the Lions are a better team. And then they play down to the Panthers today, and they come out and get a win. If you weren't watching the game and you were just scoreboard watching, at the end, box score watching, maybe you think this game was a little bit farther than it was. But the Panthers were in this game from the beginning, and just kind of disappointed overall with the Seahawks' effort sometimes.
I mean, Panthers were winning at halftime from what it looks like. And Andy
I
Dalton,
believe they were, yeah.
I'm seeing Andy Dalton at 58 pass attempts and over 360 yards, so that's a little shocking. And you and I kind of touched on it last week a little bit, Mike. We kind of went back and forth. K9 he had a good game. This week he had a good game. Last week I wasn't too high on him, but he proved me wrong. Came out, got 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean,
60 yards.
he played good this week. And silent killer Adam Thielen being a very reliable target for Dalton and Bryce Young throughout the early parts of the season.
Yeah, Kenneth Walker, another good game. 97 yards, 2 touchdowns. Just looks like that great running back that he is. Like you said, Zach, 58 pass attempts. That's Andy Dalton's career high now. Very interesting. He's that old, getting 58 pass attempts, 2 touchdowns. Adam Thielen, nice game. 11 catches, 145 yards, 2 touchdowns. But that Panthers offense, they had 7 false start penalties, and trying to win a football game with 7 false start penalties, not good for the offense.
Yeah, overall pretty undisciplined. If I was a Panthers fan, you're not winning games right now. At this point, you're just whatever on these games. You want to see your rookie quarterback play. Who cares if Andy Dalton goes and gets you a win? Or I mean, I guess they don't have their first round draft pick, so maybe they do want to see Andy Dalton go get some wins. But Seahawks are just usually so dominant at home, and it's just so weird for me to see them get killed by the Rams and then play down to maybe a bottom 5 team in the league, especially with Andy Dalton at the helm, although he played well today. Overall, the Seahawks defense has just been really, really bad. Did the Panthers get, what was the final score of this one? I don't have it pulled up.
37-27 Seahawks.
37-27. Okay, so I mean 3 points away from giving up 30 in 3 straight weeks for the Seahawks defense. So that's a problem, especially when you're playing Andy Dalton. And then at the time, what looked like a not very talented Rams offense, but who knows now. But
I mean, coming into this game, I was really hoping that the Panthers would be able to get some sort of run game going against a kind of sorry Seahawks defense. They just don't have any answers on the ground. I didn't watch a lot of this game, wasn't on my screen much because I was busy watching my Bears get their shit kicked in. So Miles Sanders, I'm seeing like he's not getting a lot of carries. I don't know if it's the line. I don't know if it's Miles Sanders himself, but they got to figure it out if they want to get Bryce Young any sort of like comfort when he comes back from injury, because they're not doing him any favors if they don't get a good run game going.
How many carries did Miles Sanders have?
He'll get 9.
9, yeah. Frank Reich, when he was with the Colts, he tended to get away from the run game sometimes, and that could be another problem with Carolina. Jake Bobo got a touchdown with the Seahawks, so good for him. Nice to see. But Seahawks, they got the job done. They still won by 10. Defense didn't look great, but the offense looked great. So they need.
I just remember, like, speaking of the Frank Reich thing, just like having JT in fantasy, and like he would just like go off in, like the first and second quarter, and then he would just be stuck at like 15 for the rest of the game. But
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say Miles Sanders necessarily been going off at all. So maybe it's not the worst thing that he gets away from the run game, but either way, that's what's happening. But moving on here to the Cowboys at Cardinals. Like I said last week, the Cowboys offense just has not been playing well. Their defense carried them against the Giants week 1. Their offense did do their thing to an extent, but just a lot of, especially last week too, a lot of defense setting them up and them just not being able to put together drives. Like it was like the 5-yard field goal drive, 6-yard field goal. Like they absolutely have to get it together, especially with the injuries on defense. Their defense is phenomenal, but they're not going to play to the level that they played in week 1 and week 2 every single week, even against not insane offenses like Josh Dobbs. They're not going to always play phenomenal. So when they don't, the offense has to step up. It didn't today. They couldn't win.
I think this is probably your classic really good team overlooking a really bad team, regardless of the game behind it on the schedule. Cowboys, they overlooked the Cardinals. They saw a team that was mocked to pick number 1 or number 2 in almost every single mock draft, regardless of what you think, players, coaches, everybody looks at social media. They see all the hating comments. They see all the loving comments. They see the mock drafts. They see everything. And you can talk about that with the Cardinals too. They see that and they're fighting in every single game they've been in this year. But Cowboys, they definitely overlooked this game. And by the time they realized that they had overlooked it, it was too late and they just couldn't dig themselves out of that hole.
Josh Dobbs, first career win. Good for him. I think part of this loss for the Cowboys was first 2 weeks. They had such big wins. Defense dominated, high morale. And then middle of the week, your second best player, your best cornerback goes down and tears his ACL. That can hurt a team's morale a lot. And I think it definitely did. They came out slow. They didn't have the juice. And Jonathan Gannon and the Cardinals brought the juice. They look good. They look like a really frisky football team. They can just get the job done. Explosives.
Pew, pew, pew.
Pew, pew, pew. Yeah. The Cowboys struggled to score in the red zone. Again, offensive struggles. Matt Prater hit a 62-yard field goal for the Cardinals. Good for him. He's got the boot on him still. So Cowboys just couldn't afford this loss in this tight division battle that they're going to have with the Eagles. So it's a rough week for the Cowboys.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, Mike, them being a really frisky team. But they are. I mean, they've been in every single game they played in so far this year. They should have won last week in a game they blew, whether that was intentional or unintentional. Still to be determined on that. But and then week 1 they were in it with the Commanders. So it's kind of weird to say that this team could be 3-0, but they really could be 3-0. And they're playing with house money at this point, and you got to give it to them. They beat probably one of the best teams in the league. But I'm just going to reiterate, the Cowboys offense has to figure it out. You're not going to beat teams like the Eagles playing how they played the first 3 weeks. That you won't even get close.
Completely agree with you. But back to what you were saying, Mike, Trayvon Diggs, huge loss. I know we didn't really have a chance to talk about that because it was right after we recorded our preview episode. But losing a guy whose passer rating when targeted against him was 1, for those who don't know, spiking the ball into the dirt, I believe, is 39.1. If you were to do that every single play, that's something I've learned from ESPN and, all those fun stat sites. But
Field still gets under.
When you're missing a guy like Trayvon Diggs, it can definitely impact your game plan week in, week out, and just your ability to make plays. But I'm not too worried about the Cowboys defense as a whole. They've got that front 4 that's going to get pressure regardless, because you've got Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence. You've got all those studs up there who are really just going to be able to make plays regardless.
Yeah, and touching on Jonathan Gannon one more time, it's so far these rookie head coaches, especially the 2 Eagles coaches now, Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon, they both look good. And these rookie head coaches, they've come out hot so far.
So who here took the bus today? Who here drove? He was right all along. We clowned him, but he was right all along.
I get,
Hey,
yeah,
he
knows
found
what
the
he's doing.
killers. He really did.
He did. So I guess he got what he was looking for. But all right, moving on. You guys ready to hit our last game of the night here? Game that just finished up here. Steelers at Raiders. Steelers went into this game being underdogs. I didn't understand it then. I don't understand it now. The Steelers defense is just so good. And I just love everything about it. They lose a guy like Cam Sutton, and then they just get a guy like JPJ. Like, imagine how much worse this team would be if they had Chase Claypool instead of JPJ. But once again, it's Kenny Pickett looked better today, but still like nothing crazy. Like he's not taking this jump that everyone expected him to take so far. So you definitely want to see better from him. But at some point, it's still the play calling, still Matt Canada. I know I saw a Dove Kleeman tweet today, like this morning, about him being more involved in the offense.
Like they promoted him in lieu of the
Yeah,
backlash he's been getting.
it's just I don't know like how he's gonna get promoted. Is he gonna get head coach? Like I don't know. I don't even know how you promote him. Maybe put him on the field.
OC and pass game coordinator or something.
Yeah. Oh my god. I'm guessing he already is that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say about the Steelers offense. I'm just hoping they're eventually going to get it together. It still seems like an O-line problem, which when you have a defense that talented, it sucks to not see your second year QB take a jump.
I mean, you can only blame Kenny Pickett for so much, but I will say that this game could look vastly different if Marcus Peters does catch that what should have been a pick six. Definitely. Kenny Pickett, he looked a little rough in the first quarter, maybe a little bit of the second quarter as well. Like just not having timing down, maybe just miscommunication, whatever you want to call it. But he figured it out and he got it done. He even showed off a little bit of the wheels on a couple third downs. One of them got called back on a penalty. I don't know who it was on.
It was the Pickens.
He
was like adjusting his chin. Yeah, adjusting his chin strap before the play.
I remember seeing him like run ahead of Pickens or Pickett and then just like screaming backwards, just trying to fly into somebody.
Yeah.
It was
play had what they call it, illegal formation. Is that what it was?
Illegal formation,
illegal formation.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with the play, but
I know it was just so funny to watch it, just like stop in a dime, then fly straight backwards.
Such a boneheaded play. Crazy.
But Pickett, he's got to be more consistent from the jump if the Steelers want to continue to win games. Their defense is going to keep them in these games, 100%. But if you got a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo, who once you take him off that Devontae Adams first read, shout out to Devontae Adams, crazy game, fucked me over in fantasy. I hate him for that. But Jimmy Garoppolo, when he wasn't targeting Devontae Adams, he seemed kind of lost. And Josh Jacobs, I mean, he started to figure it out a little bit today, but his best game of the year. But I mean, what's that really saying? Because he's been sorry up until this game, to be honest.
Yeah, that's been one of my biggest disappointments so far this year is the Raiders' run game. They were so good last year running the ball. Josh Jacobs was elite, maybe the best running back last year throughout the whole year. I don't know if it was him changing his number from 28 to 8 that has made him struggle. Could be, I don't know. But 17 carries for 62 yards, only 3 yards per carry. That's not the Josh Jacobs that we saw last year. I don't know if it's the offensive line or what it is, but they really need to figure that out because that's huge. And Jimmy Garoppolo, 3 interceptions, can't have that against this great Steelers defense. TJ Watt dominated again, decoy candidate. Steelers defense looked great. Jimmy Garoppolo didn't look great.
These are going to be the Steelers wins, though. Just these low-scoring defense carries them. Like you said, Mike, with Josh Jacobs struggling. I know he was going into this game. I think it was 2.1 yards a carry, and then he has 3 point something today. So didn't improve that 2.1.
3.6.
Yeah, still sub 4.
Yeah, but that's still sub 3 for the season for sure.
Well, I was just talking about this game.
Oh yeah.
Quick maths, you know.
Yeah. Quick math. But yeah, I know we talked about week 1 here. I got it here. That Jimmy Garoppolo threw 19 of his 26 passes to Jacoby Myers and Devontae Adams, and tonight it was a lot of the same. 20 targets for Devontae Adams, 12 targets for Jacoby Myers. That's 32 out of 44. So he has his guys that he likes and he's sticking to it. Devontae Adams, though, 13 catches, 172 yards, 2 touchdowns. Just a freak. Still one of the best receivers in the league. And we're gonna have that clip of Pat Pete for a while to laugh at. That was something.
good.
That was something.
I mean, it almost felt like the whole Raiders fourth quarter situation. They wanted to lose it, but the refs wouldn't let them. They tried taking that field goal, then got bailed out on the penalty. Same situation again. Apparently, they missed that the what's it called? The Packers Bucks wild card game or divisional game, or was it championship game? Maybe I don't know. But
I know what you're talking about.
Matt LaFleur made the same mistake, and Raiders just history repeats itself. So it was honestly really funny. I'm glad the Steelers pulled this out. They deserved it. Their defense played good, really good, and then their offense played good enough. Speaking of their offense, I'm a huge fan of George Pickens. Was a big fan of him coming out of Georgia. I wanted the Bears to take him, but just didn't fall that way. I mean, I'm happy with Kyler and Brisker, but I don't want to talk about that anymore. Pickens is really good. He makes wild plays. So, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, the Steelers 100% deserved to win this game. The refs tried to do everything they could to give the Raiders a chance. The Minka Fitzpatrick hit on Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't know how you call that a penalty at all. I don't know what they saw. And then I don't know really what they called on the field goal attempt that
one was
gave
worse.
them the first
that
down.
one was crazy.
I didn't even see what the call was, but
it was all bad.
It was like in the pile.
Yeah. And then on top of that, Josh McDaniels, for some reason, this is another kind of what happened to the Packers a couple years ago. You're down by 8, right? So I'm going to do the math real quick. They kicked the field goal to make it a 5-point game. Are they trying to make it cut it from a 3 field goal game to a 2 field goal game? Is that what the goal is?
I don't know. It's like you said, it's literally the exact LaFleur situation.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand it at all. If you got like 4th and 3, 4th and 4, are you gonna just get that close? You're gonna have no timeouts when you do. I just don't understand it at all. Just Josh McDaniels. I think we might be. I don't know if Al Davis can afford it, or Mark Davis can afford to get rid of him next season. But I think he should be back in New England next year. But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know with the Raiders. And the thing is, they go to kick the field goal and they get gifted the first down, and then they still go to kick it again.
You're closer.
The refs literally told them don't kick it. They knew. The refs knew if you kick this, it's over. And it was, I guess maybe the thought process was there like we can get a stop because Kenny Pickett hasn't been great. But I don't know. I don't know what the thought process was there.
You're gonna need a touchdown no matter what. So
yeah. You're right. Yeah. I mean, I guess
why not just go for it there?
It doesn't make any sense. So I mean, what's the point of even going for 2 to make it an 8-point game in the first place then? If we're gonna play it as a field goal.
Give yourself more field to work with, I guess.
Yeah. No, I don't understand that one at all. Good win for the Steelers. They're 2-1, 2 wins after the blowout loss against the Niners week 1. Love that for them. Mike Tomlin's well on his way to another 9-8 season.
Yeah. Hunter Renfrow silent again, I think. Only 2 targets. Crazy. This division, a lot of
targets.
A lot of 2-1 teams in this division, then the Bengals sitting at 0-2. So this going to be a very interesting division.
Huge game tomorrow night for the Bengals. Huge game. Yeah, that's all I got about Sunday night here.
Yeah, I mean, tomorrow's going to be a good couple games. Again, we've mentioned it before. Why are they only 1 hour apart? It's the dumbest thing in the world.
I don't know. You usually can do like 6 and 9 or 5 and 8 or something.
Or even 6 and 8 would be
for
fine,
YouTube TV.
Yeah.
It's for YouTube TV to do the split screen. People buy YouTube TV for it.
But that's the thing is you do the split screen and then ESPN still feels the need in crunch time to split it again. So then you're watching it on 3 screens. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. But we will discuss those games on our episode that we record on Tuesday night, which will come out on Wednesday afternoon/evening. That will be we'll talk about the Monday night games. We'll talk about this past week college football, which was a great one. I'm excited to talk about that. And then we will preview week 4 of the NFL season. But before we go, don't forget to like and subscribe, follow all the socials in the description, and we'll see everybody in the next one.